Hey everybody, and welcome to One Piece Gameplay. My name's Kevin Shelton, or X and X Vision. You can just call me Vision or Kevin. It doesn't matter. We are starting this channel, and this is the first episode. The first deck list we're doing is Kaido with the new Shanks One Piece Film Edition cards. So we have placed a couple of those cards in the deck, and I think it's going to be a lot better, a lot smoother moving forward. But let's hop into it. Kaido is a -7 Don. Trash one of your opponent's life cards. I generally try not to do this until later on in the game. If I'm swinging for game, I'll use this effect to trash the last life card they have. If I'm doing it right, it's the last life card they have. Kaido is very strong. He has a lot of beefy characters that hit really hard. Also, just so you guys know, I'm doing a voiceover. I didn't like what I was talking about earlier. I wanted to get to the point of the Kaido deck. Kaido is one of the probably five top decks in the format right now. It is a brand new game. There's only one set out currently, but it is, I think, one of the better decks. The first of the what I call the big boys is 10 drop Kaido, and 10 drop Kaido is a -6 Don KO every other character. You're basically nuking the board. He's a 12k attacker. He hits like a Mack truck. 10 drop Kaido is very good. The threat of 10 drop Kaido scares a lot of opponents into not playing cards like 8 drop Kid. I think it's very effective as a threat, almost as much as it is on board. One of my favorite ways to end game though is with 9 drop Kaido. 9 drop Kaido is -5 Don. KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less, and he gains rush. He's massive, like every other purple attack card in the game. Great way to end a game as well. You play him, kill a blocker, GG. Douglas Bullet's the first film card that we have in the deck. I run it as a 2 of. Not sure how much I like Douglas Bullet. He's got a great effect. On play or main phase once per turn, -4 Don. Rest 2 characters that are 6 drop or less, and it gains double attack. I think you want to play Douglas Bullet on curve if you're going second in the matchup. Other than that, he can be a little clunky at times because you really want a 9 drop when you could 8 drop like on play, so like on curve, and you get a 9 drop. I would suggest doing that. So I run it as a 2 of. 7 drop King is the next card. I believe one of the more underrated cards because it's great against the red matchup and the green matchup. 7 drop King is a -2 Don. KO one of your opponent's characters with a 3 or less and a 2 or less. Super valuable in the red and green matchup because you can target Okiku and Beige. Basically, any blocker, killer, chopper. It hits Nico Robin, it hits Zoro. So 7 drop King is fantastic into green and red. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Kid is dominating the Treasure Cup scene right now. 6 drop King is also a good card. I think you want to try to hit this on curve as well, especially if you have Island on board. I'll explain that in a minute. But King 6 drop says -1 Don. KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. 4, being able to target a 4 or less is actually really good. 4 is a very good targetable number. It hits a lot of valuable cards in the meta right now. So 6 drop King is a staple. It is a 4 of in most Kaido builds that I've seen. 5 drop Queen is another one of those cards that I believe is a staple. It is a 5 drop, but it's a blocker. It hits for 6k. If you have to swing with it, it hits pretty much everything on board. But the effect is what you're really after. It's a -1 Don, draw 2 cards and trash a card from your hand. It's really good because a lot of the cards you play don't have counters, and you can easily trash one of those. But you're adding a card to your hand. If you have Island on board, it's actually free because you get to play Island to ramp a Don after you minus a Don. So it's a perfect. It's a 4 of for sure. 5 drop X Drake. X Drake, I usually don't use the ability if I'm being honest with you. It's a 2k counter, which is super valuable in any deck. you want to have a fair number of 2K counters so you can block. If somebody swings face with 6K, you take the 2K counter. If you want to use his ability, I suggest doing it when you swing for game. You don't want your opponent countering from hand. That's when you would use it. The next film card that we have in the deck is the 4-drop Uda. It is a 4 of. It's a fantastic card. I really use Uda because of the threat. So she says, -1 Don, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. If 4 is a good targetable number, 5 is even better. It hits a lot of super valuable opponent's cards. But just the threat of having Uda on board where your opponent has to play around her is honestly, it does its job. You don't necessarily have to use it, but you can, especially if you're going to swing for game on the next turn. You play Uda, you block with her, and then you tap a 2-drop blocker or a 1-drop blocker or something like that. Sasuke is one of those cards you really don't want to play him too often. He's a 2K counter, which is great. But if you're playing Sasuke, it means you don't have a way to ramp, so you're not seeing Island. And he's a when attacking you Don 1. Trash a card from your hand, add a Don rested. It's just a way to ramp. Island, again, is 4 of. If you don't see it early, you're not having fun. When I say ramp, what I mean is because I minus a lot of Don for abilities, I need a way to get Don back onto my field. Ramping is just the act of adding Don to your field, rested or otherwise. And that's really what you want to get from Island. The 2-drop blockers that I'm running, Black Maria and Higurashi, they're valuable as blockers, but I think what makes them more valuable is the fact that they have counters. A lot of blockers in the current meta don't have counters on them. And while you want to see them on the field, it's not necessarily a bad thing to have them in your hand because they can block or counter from hand. It makes them that much more valuable. The next film card, the last film card that we have in the deck is Buena Festa. It is a 1-drop search. It is also a 2K counter. If you're having to use Festa to search, that probably means your game is not going as well as it could. But the ability is really, really good. You do get to search for Uda and Douglas Bullet. So I would recommend not playing it as often. Using it as a 2K counter is fine. It also gives you a turn 1 play if you want to do that early. Also fine. Events, I'm running 2 Thunder Bagua. And it is a counter event. It says up to one of your leader or character cards gains 4K power during the battle. And if you have 2 or less life cards, you can add a Don from your Don deck and rest it. It's just a way to ramp. Kaido takes a lot of damage early because he is a late game character. So more times than not, you'll have the 2 life and be able to ramp. And of course, the last card, Blast Breath, -1 Don, plus 4K. It's just a 4K counter, which is really big. I'm going to pause this because I'm doing a voiceover. I didn't like some of the things I had said earlier, so I wanted to do a voiceover to make sure you guys understood everything that was going on. I'll pause it here so you can look at it as well. I've play tested it. I really like it. I think it can win you a lot of games. But while I'm here, let me go ahead and give a huge shout out to my partner in crime, Jarrett Hubbard, or ZZ Lion O. We'll be doing a lot of videos together, a lot of playtest videos. And then Anthony Casella over at Iron City Games. Guys, if you're in the Birmingham area, by all means, go to Iron City Games. He's got a huge collection of cards, huge variety, multiple games, and he's a huge proponent of One Piece. I said huge a lot there, but, you know, we're huge personalities here, right? No, I'm kidding, but really and truly, if you like the content, please like and subscribe. Give us a follow. Leave us a comment. You know, what did you like? What didn't you like? What does your Kaido deck list look like? I'm interested in all these things going forward, and I really appreciate you guys dropping by. Thank you so much, and have a great, great rest of your day.